Hey everybody, it's Beth Fisher. Welcome to today. We'll be reading from 4th Maccabees, chapters 9 through 12. Why do you delay, O tyrant? For we are ready to die rather than transgress our ancestral commandments. We are obviously putting our forebears to shame, unless we should practice ready obedience to the law and to Moses our counselor. Tyrant and counselor of lawlessness, in your hatred for us, do not pity us more than we pity ourselves. For we consider this pity of yours, which ensures our safety through transgression of the law, to be more grievous than death itself. You are trying to terrify us by threatening us with death by torture, as though a short time ago you learned nothing from Eleazar. And if the aged men of the Hebrews, because of their religion, lived piously while enduring torture, it would be even more fitting that we young men should die despising your coercive tortures, which our aged instructor also overcame. Therefore, tyrant, put us to the test, and if you take our lives because of our religion, do not suppose that you can injure us by torturing us. For we, through this severe suffering and endurance, shall have the prize of virtue, and shall be with God, on whose account we suffer. But you, because of your bloodthirstiness towards us, will deservedly undergo from the divine justice eternal torment by fire. When they had said these things, the tyrant was not only indignant, as at those who are disobedient, but also infuriated, as at those who are ungrateful. Then at his command, the guards brought forward the eldest. Having torn off his tunic, they bound his hands and arms with thongs on each side. When they had worn themselves out, beating him with scourges, without accomplishing anything, they placed him upon the wheel. When the noble youth was stretched out around this, his limbs were dislocated, and with every member disjointed, he denounced the tyrant, saying, Most abominable tyrant, enemy of heavenly justice, savage of mind, you are mangling me in this manner, not because I am a murderer, or as one who acts impiously, but because I protect the divine law. And when the guard said, Agree to eat so that you may be released from the tortures, he replied, You abominable lackeys, your wheel is not so powerful as to strangle my reason. Cut my limbs, burn my flesh, and twist my joints. Though all these tortures, I will convince you. Through all these tortures, I will convince you that the children of the Hebrews alone are invincible where virtue is concerned. While he was saying these things, they spread fire under him, and while fanning the flames, they tightened the wheel further. The wheel was completely smeared with blood. The heap of coals was being quenched by the drippings of gore, and pieces of flesh were falling off the axles of the machine. Although the ligaments joining his bones were already severed, the courageous youth, worthy of Abraham, did not groan. But as though transformed by fire into immortality, he nobly endured the rackings. Imitate me, brothers, he said. Do not leave your post in my struggle, or renounce our courageous family ties. Fight the sacred and noble battle for religion. Thereby, the just providence of our ancestors may become merciful to our nation and take vengeance on the accursed tyrant. When he had said this, the saintly youth broke the thread of life. While all were marveling at his courageous spirit, the guards brought in the next eldest, and after fitting themselves with iron gauntlets, having sharp hooks, they bound him to the torture machine and catapult. Before torturing him, they inquired if he were willing to eat, and they heard his noble decision. These leopard-like beasts tore out his sinews with the iron hands, flayed all his flesh up to his chin, and tore away his scalp. But he steadfastly endured this agony and said, How sweet is any kind of death for the religion of our ancestors. To the tyrant he said, Do you not think, you most savage tyrant, that you are being tortured more than I, as you see the arrogant design of your tyranny being defeated by our endurance for the sake of religion? I lighten my pain by the joys that come from virtue. But you suffer torture by the threats that come from impiety. You will not escape, you most abominable tyrant, the judgments of the divine wrath. When he too had endured a glorious death, the third was let in, and many repeatedly urged him to save himself by tasting the meat. But he shouted, "Do you not know that the same Father begot me as well as those who died? And the same mother bore me? And that I was brought up on the same teachings? I do not renounce the noble kinship that binds me to my brothers." Enraged by the man's boldness, they disjointed his hands and feet with their instruments, dismembering him by prying his limbs from their sockets, and breaking his fingers and arms and legs and elbows. Since they were not able in any way to break his spirit, they abandoned the instruments and scalped him with their fingernails in a Scythian fashion. They immediately brought him to the wheel, and while his vertebrae were being dislocated by this, he saw his own flesh torn all around and drops of blood flowing from his entrails. When he was about to die, he said, "We, most abominable tyrant, are suffering because of our godly training and virtue, but you, because of your impiety and bloodthirstiness, will go unceasing torments." When he too had died in a manner worthy of his brothers, they dragged in the fourth, saying, "As for you, do not give way to the same insanity as your brothers, but obey the king and save yourself." But he said to them, "You do not have a fire hot enough to make me play the coward. No, by the blessed death of my brothers, by the eternal destruction of the tyrant, and by the everlasting life of the pious, I will not renounce our noble family ties. Contrive tortures, tyrant, so that you may learn from them that I am a brother to those who have just now been tortured." When he heard this, the bloodthirsty, murderous, and utterly abominable Antiochus gave orders to cut out his tongue. But he said, "Even if you remove my organ of speech, God hears also those who are mute. See, here is my tongue, cut it off, for in spite of this, you will not make our reason speechless. Gladly, for the sake of God, we let our bloody members be mutilated. God will visit you swiftly, for you are cutting out a tongue that has been melodious with divine hymns." When he too died, after being cruelly tortured, the fifth leaped up, saying, "I will not refuse tyrant to be tortured for the sake of virtue. I have come of my own accord, so that by murdering me you will incur punishment from the heavenly justice for even more crimes. Hater of virtue, hater of humankind, for what act of ours are you destroying us in this way? Is this because we revere the Creator of all things and live according to his virtuous law? But these deeds deserve honors, not tortures." While he was saying these things, the guards bound him and dragged him to the catapult. They tied him to it on his knees, and fitting iron clamps on them, they twisted his back around the wedge on the wheel, so that he was completely curled back like a scorpion, and all his members were disjointed. In this condition, gasping for breath, and in anguish of body, he said, "Tyrant, they are splendid favors that you grant us against your will, because through these noble sufferings, you give us an opportunity to show our endurance for the law." When he too had died, the sixth, a mere boy, was let in. When the tyrant inquired whether he was willing to eat and be released, he said, "I am younger in age than my brothers, but I am their equal in mind. Since to this end we were born and bred, we ought likewise to die for the same principles. So if you intend to torture me for not eating defiling foods, go on torturing." When he had said this, they led him to the wheel. He was carefully stretched tight upon it, his back was broken, and he was roasted from underneath. To his back they applied sharp spits that had been heated in the fire, and pierced his ribs so that his entrails were burned through. While being tortured, he said, "O contest befitting holiness, in which so many of us brothers have been summoned to an arena of sufferings for religion, and in which we have not been defeated. For religious knowledge, O tyrant, is invincible. I also, equipped with nobility, will die with my brothers, and I myself will bring a great avenger upon you, you inventor of tortures and enemy of those who are truly devout. We 6 boys have paralyzed your tyranny, since you have not been able to persuade us to change our mind or to force us to eat defiling foods. Is this not your downfall? Your fire is cold to us, and the catapults painless, and your violence powerless. For it is not the guards of the tyrant, but those of the divine law that are set over us. Therefore, unconquered, we hold fast to reason. When he too, thrown into the cauldron, had died a blessed death, the 7th and youngest of all came forward. Even though the tyrant had been vehemently reproached by the brothers, he felt strong compassion for this child when he saw that he was already in fetters. He summoned him to come nearer and tried to persuade him, saying, "You see the result of your brother's stupidity, for they died in torments because of their disobedience. You too, if you do not obey, will be miserably tortured and die before your time. But if you yield to persuasion, you will be my friend and a leader in the government of the kingdom." When he had thus appealed to him, he sent for the boy's mother to show compassion on her who had been bereaved of so many sons, and to influence her to persuade the surviving son to obey and save himself. But when his mother had exhorted him in the Hebrew language, as we shall tell a little later, he said, "Let me loose, let me speak to the king and to all his friends that are with him." Extremely pleased by the boy's declaration, they freed him at once. Running to the nearest of the braziers, he said, "You profane tyrant, most impious of all the wicked, since you have received good things, and also your kingdom from God, were you not ashamed to murder his servants and torture on the wheel those who practice religion? Because of this justice has been laid up for you, intense and eternal fire and tortures, and these throughout all time will never let you go. As a man, you are not ashamed, you most savage beast, to cut out the tongues of men who have feelings like yours and are made of the same elements as you, and to maltreat and torture them in this way. Surely they, by dying nobly, fulfilled their service to God. But you will wail bitterly for having killed without cause the contestants for virtue." Then, because he too was about to die, he said, "I do not desert the excellent example of my brothers, and I call on the God of our ancestors to be merciful to our nation. But on you he will take vengeance, both in this present life and when you are dead." After he had uttered these imprecations, he flung himself into the braziers, and so ended his life. Revelation 3. To the angel of the assembly in Sardis write, "He who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars says these things. I know your works, that you have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain, but are ready to die, for I have not found your works perfected before God. Remember, therefore, how you have received and heard. Hold fast and repent. Therefore, if you will not watch, I will come upon you as a thief, and you will not know what hour I will come upon you. You have a few names even in Sardis, who have not soiled their garments. They shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. He who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments. I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies. To the angel of the assembly in Philadelphia write, He who is holy, he who is true, he who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens, says these things. I know your works. Look, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have a little strength, and have kept my word, and have not denied my name. Listen, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Listen, I will make them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you, because you have kept my word of patience. Also, I will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the entire world to test those who dwell on earth. Look, I am coming quickly. Hold firm what you have, so no one may take your crown. He who overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my own new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies. To the angel of the assembly of Laodiceans write, the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God, says these things. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spit you out of my mouth. For you say, I am rich and have stored up goods and have need of nothing. Yet do not realize that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be dressed, that the shame of your nakedness may not appear, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. Those whom I love, I rebuke and discipline. Therefore, be zealous and repent. Listen, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and dine with him, and he with me. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies. Psalm 3. Lord, how my foes have multiplied. Many rise up against me. Many are saying about my life, there is no help for him in God. Selah. But you, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, and the one who raises up my head. I cried to the Lord with my voice, and he answered me from his holy hill. Selah. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of multitudes of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for you have struck all my enemies on the cheek. You have broken the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing is on your people. Selah. Proverbs 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace will they add to you. Do not let mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your body and strength to your bones. Honor the Lord with your substance and with the first fruits of all your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your presses will burst out with new wine. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord. Do not be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, even as a father the son in whom he delights. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gets understanding. for her benefit is more profitable than silver, and her gain than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you may desire are not to be compared with her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and happy is everyone who retains her. The Lord, by wisdom, has founded the earth. By understanding, he has established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will be your confidence, and will keep your footing from being caught. Do not withhold good from those whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, "Go and come again tomorrow. I will give it," when you have it with you. Do not devise evil against your neighbor, seeing he dwells securely by you. Do not strive with a man without cause if he has done you no harm. Do not envy the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the perverse is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret counsel is with the righteous. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just. Surely he scorns the scornful, but he gives favor to the humble. The wise will inherit glory, but shame will be the legacy of fools. Thus ends the reading for today. Never walk alone.